Hey guys, Dr. Sean here. We're going to talk about a mailbag question that I got asked. I said, Doc, sugars seem to be everywhere anymore. What can we do, right? How do we know where they're at? They're hiding them in our food. They're changing the names on them. They're intentionally trying to fool us, it feels like, right? You're right, they are. That's how it works, guys. Sugar is used in almost anything that is man-made in our dietary chain. If you're eating something that doesn't grow off a tree that you can pick, chances are really good it's going to have some kind of added sugar to it. Now, why? We use it as a glue to hold food together, especially if we take the fat out. So if it says low fat, you might as well assume it's high sugar immediately. Something's got to hold it together, right? That's how this works. We use it as a moisturizer. You'll see it in breads all the time to keep the bread moist so it doesn't get too dry on you, because then you won't want to eat it. Obviously, it's there for taste. It's highly addictive. So once we get a little, we want more and more and more. So we look at these things and say, gosh, it's everywhere in our food chain. Is there anything we can do about it? Are we really even eating any more than we ever have? Well, here's the deal. In 1900, the average person in this country consumed about 60 pounds of sugar per year. Now, that's including fruit and breads and all the sugars that are in these things. That's what that's including. So it's not like they're sitting down and spooning the stuff in. Today, that number is as high as 152 pounds per person. It's almost triple what it was 100 years ago. So we look at that and think, well, gosh, if it goes up that much, then what does sugar do to the body? So I brought a little book for you. I thought it'd be fun to go through some of these. Here's what sugar's been directly linked to, okay? Decreased immune function. We already know it. If you put too much in, it weakens the immune system. It runs it into the ground. All right, cold and flu season, it's wintertime. Who's worried about that, right? So I wouldn't do anything to weaken it. Diabetes, directly linked to it. Any autoimmune disorder. All right, so that's all the asthmas, that's all the allergies, that's all of the rheumatisms, all the lupuses, all the weird unexplained neurologic things that fall under that umbrella. This has been linked to agitating. Candida and yeast, of course, dementia, depression, anxiety, diarrhea and constipation, heartburn, reflux, gas, bloating. Wow, all these things, cravings, fatigue is a huge one you see with this. A number of different cancers. Memory loss, headaches, all kinds of stuff from weakened eyesight to heartburn to reflux to gastritis. And the list goes on and on and on. So we look at that and we think to ourselves, holy cow, this guy can be a real problem. Now, I get it. We all love it, right? We all like the little taste of this or that or so on. Again, I said it's addictive. So we have to pick and choose our battles. But here's the kicker. The industry is so concerned that if you become educated, you're not going to want to buy their products, that they petition the FDA. And this is one of the reasons why I'm bringing this up. This year, the food industry went to the FDA and said, look, we've got sales down, we're having trouble. We want to rename one of our sugars. This one was high fructose corn syrup. We want to rename it. We don't want to call it that because people won't buy it. So the FDA said, what do you want to call it? I go, we want to just call it fructose. And I'm thinking to myself, well, don't we call fruit sugar that? Fructose? We do. And their idea is saying, well, it's got fructose in it, so we should be able to call it that. And so the FDA said, you're right. You should be able to do that. Now here's the kick. Now they don't have to list high fructose corn syrup on their label anymore. Matter of fact, one of the cereal companies this year, which is amazing to me, on the front of the box says contains no high fructose corn syrup. When you flip it over, though, it's got the new label of fructose in there, which is, guess what? High fructose corn syrup. That's what they got in there. Now, how's that for misleading? So what are you to do? How do you get around this? How do you avoid all these things that potentially could have all kinds of crazy, weird health effects on you? Let's go through some things. There's a rule of thumb I like to follow. If it says OSE or OL on the ingredient, it's a sugar. Flat out, that's how it is. If it's OL, it's a sugar-based alcohol. If it's OSE, it's just a straight-out sugar. So think sucrose, maltose, fructose, glucose, lactose, sugar, 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 sugar. Then the OLs, you start getting those, sorbitol, mannitol, xylitol, sugar, sugar, sugar. So when you look for these things and you start looking for those little key words, now guys, they're going to get clever. They're going to start to hide this even more, right? You may see it in a cane syrup, a fruit syrup, a fruit sugar. They may try to hide it as a honey, something of that nature, because they don't want you not buying their products. But we're learning here that, gosh, we're addicted to this stuff. It's tied to a whole host of health issues. And I'll tell you, you'll never see somebody who's struggling with weight that doesn't have a problem here. It may not be direct. They may have it as an indirect thing. It may come around through one of the sweeteners or fake sweeteners. But when you notice that most of the neurologic conditions, most of the autoimmune disorders, a lot of hyperactivity in children, get any parent that has a child that's ADD, ADHD, maybe that has asthma or allergies, and see what happens when they load them up on sugar. So, I'm Dr. Sean. This has been a health tip for you. I hope it helps you out. I hope you can find this useful. Remember to watch the OL and the OSE. I'm Dr. Sean again, the Robin Hood Healthcare. Bye-bye.